a lot of food. And I did not get a chance to send invitations today. I was like busy with crazy stuff. But anyways, guys, we're actually getting close to the month of Elul. The New Year is coming, right? Awesome. It's going to be a good year, God willing. Anyways, you see what happens when month of Elul comes. I'm sure everybody knows this phrase that we say it under every wedding. Whenever Khatan Kala, bride and groom get married. So again, this is the Persian custom. At the end of the ceremony, the girl gives the ring to the boy. Usually, that doesn't have to be that way because the husband brings the girl brings the girl to the house. So actually, you have legally the man acquires the woman. I don't mean acquire buying, but he brings to his domain to protect her. So he gives the ring, right? But then, whatever it is, they want to show that the woman also has a role. Obviously, she has a big role. At the end, she gives the ring. Which words does she say when she gives the ring? You remember from your cousin's wedding last night in San Diego a year and a half ago, something?
What is it?
So the girl when puts a ring in the hands of the boy at the end of the ceremony. Again, it's not a halacha, just Persians do that.
What she says?
She says, "Ani ledodi vedodi li."
Never heard that.
Yeah, it means I belong to my beloved, and my beloved belongs to me. Ani ledodi, just lately, Persians.
What does that mean?
Oh, so I'm saying Ani ledodi means I belong to my beloved, and my beloved belongs to me.
Why does a woman say that?
What does a woman say that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
No, seriously, I don't know. But ladies are very emotional. They're into love. Good stuff.
interesting.
But anyways, where is this really taken from? Where is this taken from that said the words Ani ledodi vedodi li? So basically, this is actually in Shira Shirim. Shira Shirim is a song that King Solomon wrote and actually expresses the love between God and the Jewish people and the Jewish people and God. And he really uses a lot of metaphors, a lot of examples between the love of husband and wife. That's what we understand because everybody gets married, Bezat Hashem in a happy time. So we do experience, we understand what kind of a love is between husband and wife. So Shlomo HaMelech uses those examples to express the intense love that God has to the Jews and Jews have to God. So one of the statements that Shlomo says is, Ani ledodi, I belong to my beloved, vedodi li. This is in chapter, I think, 6. When you go to chapter 2, he says the same statement but backwards. He says, Dodi li, my beloved belongs to me. Doesn't say I. Second time it says, I belong to my beloved. The Jews say we belong to God and God belongs to us. But in the first chapter, it says the opposite. My beloved belongs to me, God is to me, and I'm to my beloved. Why did he change it? I don't think he was drunk. I'm saying there must be a purpose in there. So actually, rabbis explain there are two different ways how God reveals himself to the people. One way is called that, God actually brings us close to him. We have seen, let's say, somebody he has no connection, let's say, to Judaism, doesn't know anything, right? Not his fault. And then suddenly he falls in a certain trouble, and everybody says no hope, and then a miracle happens the last minute. It was definitely out of ordinary. It didn't make sense. So obviously he sees that God's hand is there. And because he sees God's hand, something, beyond nature happened, so he gets drawn to come to God. Right? So that's called, that's what it means. God belongs to me, God is to me. That means God initiates the relationship, and then because he actually comes to save me, he does something for me, I come towards God. Where do we find that first time in history happening? When we came out of Egypt. According to Kabbalah, when the Jews were in Egypt, they were in the 49th level of impurity. Because they went into the Egyptian culture, into the idol worship, there was a lot of garbage happening, a lot of immoralities that were happening, and the Jews got used to it to a certain extent. Then suddenly, a year before they leave Egypt, Moses comes and he brings the 10 plagues. And then the night of Passover, God reveals himself, right? All the firstborn of Egypt die, and the Jews get saved. So that was really a relationship that started with God. And when the Jews saw that, they said, wow, God is so great. So they decided to go to Mount Sinai and to receive the Torah. So who initiated the relationship? God did. That's when Shlomo HaMelech says, Dodi li, God is to me, and I belong to God. Usually the month of Nisan. But when Rosh Hashanah comes, the relationship starts the opposite. How does God decide what kind of a year we're going to have? Ezra Hashem, with God's help, you will have a good year. But really, what does it depend on? God doesn't give anything for free, right? You got to deserve it. It's always a joke. No Jews ever win lottery because God doesn't give you anything for free. You have to earn it. You got to go to work and make the money. I'm just kidding. In Israel, the Jews win. In America, I guess less people that are Jews win. But anyways, they said a joke. In Israel, all the Arabs win. Jews don't win anything. Just kidding. Of course they win. But anyways, so God doesn't decide to give us anything for free when Rosh Hashanah comes. What happens is it really depends how we prepare ourselves. That's a month of Elul. We get closer. We're going to talk about month of Elul, what it's all about, which is this one. Month of Elul starts actually Thursday. This Thursday is the first day of Elul. That's when everybody starts saying Selichot, as you guys know what it is. Right? They start on this Sunday. It's 2 days. So then this is when we actually initiate the relationship. We come back to God. That's when Shlomo says, Ani ledodi, I go to my beloved. I started. I start getting close to God. And then on Rosh Hashanah, God gives whatever I need. Now, what are we supposed to do exactly in Elul? So, the previous Lubavitch Rebbe writes, and imagine you have a certain vessel which is broken. It really doesn't make sense to us because we don't fix any broken vessel these days. Throw it out, buy a new one, right? These days it's cheaper to buy a new one than actually fixing it, correct? You ever fix a microwave if it breaks? Of course not. These days you go fix your shoes, unless it's a $500 shoe, it costs a lot of money. You don't just throw it out, go buy another pair of shoes. Nobody fixes anything. But in the olden days, they would fix. Ask your parents, when a radio broke, they fixed it. Nobody went and bought a new radio. Anyway, so imagine you have to fix a vessel. There are certain parts of the vessel that you have to throw out. You can't fix it. It's not fixable. There are certain actions that we can't fix. You got to get rid of. If it's a sinful act, you got to get rid of it. Is that clear, people? If I make fun of a fellow human being, I can't continue doing it. So obviously, when it comes to sins, the person has to get rid of it right away, correct? Then there are certain parts of the vessel that are fixable. You can fix it. There are certain parts of the vessel you don't have to even fix, just clean it up. Like, if you have silver that's black, you just use a polish, you clean it up. There are certain, deeds that are good deeds. Except I become arrogant from it. For example, I give charity, I feel I'm like the greatest guy in the world. The act of charity is good, but the arrogance is not good. So now that month of Elul comes, we really all have to look, what can I do to become a better person? This is what month of Elul is. And that's exactly what Shlomo says, Ani ledodi. Our relationship starts with me. I go closer to God in month of Elul. And then based on that, God decides on Rosh Hashanah what kind of a year, but God willing, a very good year, He will give us. So remember, there are three parts. There are some parts that we've got to get rid of. Something which is sinful, get rid of it. You can't go with that Rosh Hashanah to God. What's happening with you guys? Right? Not that you got to get rid of. There are certain things that need fixing. I don't do the mitzvah properly, but I do a mitzvah. There are some parts that a mitzvah is fantastic. You just have to clean it up a little bit. You didn't have to fix it that much. For example, if you become arrogant. So let's go through certain customs that we have. Honestly, I think this part is very important. I'll try to explain it as good as I can. You see, the Maimonides writes down, by the way, in terms of the Maimonides, they didn't do that many special things in month of Elul. They only did it between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. The Maimonides writes down, for example, that they only said Slichot for 10 days, starting from Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur. Now we do it 40 days. The Maimonides writes down, you also have to increase in giving charity during those 10 days. Now we actually give extra charity in month of Elul. So here the Lubavitch Rebbe has a question. Why from all the mitzvot, the Maimonides writes down you have to increase in charity? He doesn't say start giving charity. We give charity every day. For the ones that have a chance to go to synagogue every morning, you always see these people, when they get to Vayvarech David, they put like 3 coins, whatever, could be 3 pennies, could be 7 cents. Some people put more money, it doesn't matter how much you put. They give charity every single day. When it comes to month of Elul, you have to increase. You have to give more charity. Why is charity so important to give before Rosh Hashanah comes? That's what we're going to discuss tonight. And I really think this is something that it resonates in every single one of us. We all know who we are. We're in our relationship with God. So we're going to describe why giving charity these 30, 40 days is important.
Can Can you also speak upon like how giving charity you double your what you give at like the end of the year? Does that have to do with these next few days, or
It's starting from this Thursday.
so whatever you give gets
Not double, give more. It doesn't say double. It says laharbud, you add. Let's say if you get 5 cents a day, make it 8 cents a day. You know what I'm saying? Give a little bit more every day.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
because you know how it says now, like when you give tzedakah at the end of the year, Hashem gives it back to you. If you double it in your income.
I'm not sure about that. Maybe you heard something that I'm not aware of.
No, that's the only thing to test God on.
Yeah, it says if you give charity, God will make you rich. You could test God. That's what it says. But I don't know if it has to do anything with the end of the year.
I don't know. I learned that.
There's some things we're going to learn how important are the charities that we give, the last month. But let's discuss why giving charity is so important. That's what we're going to discuss. So actually, there's the Gemara here. The Gemara is in Masechta Brachos, for the guys that know Brachot a little bit. The Gemara says there is a verse that the Navi says, Shimu elai abire lev. Listen to me, you fierce, strong-hearted people. So here they call the people strong-hearted. And then the Pasuk says, these strong-hearted people, rechokim mitzdaka, they're far from charity. Very obscure, abstract verse. Who are these strong people, strong-hearted people? That the verse says, Shimu elai, listen to me, abire lev. And then it says they're far from charity. Are they wicked people, righteous people? So there's an argument, like anything in the Talmud. No two rabbis get along, right? Two rabbis, 15 opinions. That's the way it is. But anyways, the Gemara says, according to Rab and according to Shmuel, according to Rabbi Yochanan, the fierce-hearted people are the righteous people. They're called strong-hearted because they're very emotionally connected, very strongly to God. So what does it mean they're far from charity? So the Gemara says, every normal human being, we don't really deserve what we get from God. God gives us more than what we deserve. But these righteous people, they don't need charity from God. Whatever they get, they deserve because they do a lot of good deeds. Let's look at Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, for example. Are you going to say that God gave him whatever he gave him because God had mercy on him? You're good for nothing, but because I have mercy, I give you something? Of course not. Moses deserved it. But regular people, so those are called rechokim mitzdaka. They're far from charity. They don't need God's mercy. They deserve it. They earned it. But regular people, please guys, come on this side. So, but when it comes to over there is only for Shabbat prayers. All right. But when it comes to regular people, we need God's mercy. Is that clear? So then the Gemara goes a step further. There are certain people that are so righteous that because of their merits, the entire world gets fed. But they themselves have a very, very low-key life.
Can you repeat that part?
Yes, there are some righteous people that because of their merit, the whole world gets
What's
there.
the definition of righteous?
I'm going to talk, it's like somebody like Moses, on that level. The Gemara brings an example. Rab Chanina ben Dosa. Rab Chanina ben Dosa was very righteous. When he prayed for somebody to get healed, he would get healed. The guy was a very righteous man. So it says that the entire land of Israel, they got their livelihood because of him. You know what he ate the entire week?
Nothing.
He ate something. You know what carob is? Carob tree?
What?
Carob tree. The fruit is very hard and it stinks. His food was carob from one Friday to the next Friday.
Carrot?
Carob. C-A-R-O-B.
What is that?
It's a type of a hard fruit.
Oh.
Very, very hard. It's very cheap. That was his food. But what do we see from here, people? What do we see from here? Righteous people, they don't need God's mercy to get their livelihood. Regular people like us that, we're involved in things, we do many wrong things here and there, we really need God's mercy to have a good year. How does God deal with us? You know this. How does God treat me? The way I treat what? How does God treat me?
The way you treat God.
The way the way I treat others, exactly. The way I treat others, that's the way God treats me. There's actually a verse that King David says. It says, Hashem tzilecha, God is your shadow. Now, what does it mean, God is your shadow? Simply, guys, God is your protection. Like, I'm under your shade, I'm under your protection. So Hashem tzilcha, God is your shadow, means God is your protection. However, Shem Tov explains, God is like a shadow. Anyway you move your hands or your body, that's the way the shadow moves. You raise your hands, you see your shadow, your hand gets raised. You move your feet, you see by your shadow, your foot moves. So when it says Hashem Tzilcha, means God is exactly your shadow. The way you act, that's the way God acts to you. So if I need God's mercy to have a good year, what am I supposed to do to deserve God's mercy? Is by having mercy on others. Now we understand the Maimonides. He says the custom in month of Elul is that we increase in giving charity. And I just want to add, charity doesn't only mean with money. You know what I'm saying? People that go to work, they have money, so they give more money. Let's say guys like us that are in college, they don't really have money. Okay, you could give a couple pennies every day. But charity is also with your body, with your soul. Let's say somebody needs help with their homework, they can't really do it. You do homework with them, you help them with their homework. Somebody's confused. He says, give me a good idea. I don't know how to deal with this situation. And you give him an idea, you actually take him out of confusion. That's a type of charity too, but not with your money. The charity is with your body, with your soul, with your mind. Right? Let's say somebody's a Torah teacher. You don't make too much money in school, right? They say being a teacher is very rewarding, but you get the reward after you die after 120 years. In this world, you don't get too much reward. You basically have enough just to live. But obviously, it's one of the greatest rewarding jobs, right? So because you build the next generation.
Right.
In the Torah, you make the next moral or ethical generation. If somebody's a real good teacher, he preaches what he does. He doesn't just preach and do the opposite. You really build the next generation. So it's very, very, and again, in the secular world, you actually educate people to become doctors, lawyers, whatever. They bring a lot of benefit to the society. Because of that, it's very, very rewarding. But again, that's also type of a charity. He shares his wisdom with other people. So what I'm saying is, don't feel that you're out of it because I'm just a student. I don't have money to give charity. Okay, if you have money, you give money. If you don't have, and it doesn't have to be a lot, it could be a couple pennies a day. And if you don't have money, you do charity other ways. Help somebody. You see an old man, old woman, can't cross the street. There was one time, we were driving on, I don't know, was it right on Ventura Boulevard. So there was a poor lady that, boom, all the bags fell from her hands. She was coming from Ralph's. At that time, somebody stopped and gave her a ride. You have no idea how happy she was. He says, I was praying, God, it's too heavy for me. Please send someone to help me to go home. And the bag fell down. In the street, somebody saw and gave her a ride. That is act of charity. You actually help the person. It's called Gemilut Chasadim, kind deeds. So this is what the Rambam is teaching us. We need, one second. We need God's mercy to have a good year. So the way we deserve God's mercy is by showing mercy to others. So please, guys, let's think. Elul is starting in 2 days. This Thursday is Rosh Chodesh Elul. And we're very much involved with ourselves. But again, we always have some free time to give to somebody else. We have some of our money or our mind, our guidance, our kindness. And that actually will make us deserve to have a good year. What was the question?
So does committing these charitable acts put us on the path to righteousness?
What I mean by righteous means God's mercy. God will give us tzedakah even if you're undeserving. That's what I mean. Because I do tzedakah, I have mercy on somebody else. So God will have mercy on us on Rosh Hashanah, even if I don't deserve to have a good year.
Yeah, but you said like that original, who was that guy you said, Moshe?
Everybody got food because of him?
Yeah.
Rab Chanina ben Joseph.
What made that guy righteous? What was his deal?
I have no idea. But that definitely was no regular guy.
Because that's what we need to know.
Well, you have to be yourself. I'm going to share something. There was a man that his name was Zushav Anipali. His name was Zushe. It's an Ashkenazi name. So he was a guy that was very, very kind. When he saw somebody doing a sin, he never went to him, how come you're doing something wrong? He knew there was one guy that didn't put on tefillin. He never put on tefillin, or didn't like to put on tefillin. He went under his window by his house, and he started, banging on his heart. And he said, Zusha, Zusha, as if he's talking to himself. You're so bad. Why don't you put on tefillin? And he starts crying, So meanwhile, the guy that doesn't put on tefillin, hears Zusha is crying. And actually gets emotional. Look what this guy is doing, is crying for not putting on tefillin. And he took upon himself to put on tefillin. He never really hurt somebody or, make somebody feel bad. He did it always in a roundabout way. So Zusha said one time, when I'm going to go to heaven, I'm not afraid if God is going to ask me, why weren't you Abraham Avinu? How come you're not Abraham? I'm going to tell him, because you didn't create me, Abraham. You know what I'm afraid of? If God was going to ask me, Zusha, why weren't you Zusha? It's a very deep statement. In other words, each one of us has a purpose to reach our potential. God is not going to expect you to become Moshe Rabbeinu. He doesn't expect to become Moshe Rabbeinu. He wants me to be Mr. David, David. And he wants you to be Mr. Josh, Malami.
Uh,
No, seriously.
yeah,
So you don't have to become Rab Chanina ben Dosa. You have to become yourself.
right.
So you're not afraid if God's going to talk to you, you're not Abraham Avinu. But with this, Rav Zusha said something very interesting too. He said, if God is going to ask me, would you want to be Abraham Avinu?
No.
You know, I would say no. It says, if I become Abraham, Abraham becomes me. What did God gain? He has the same Abraham and he has the same Zusha. I would like to do something that God has a benefit. Could you imagine what a deep guy was? You ask how did he become righteous? He didn't think about himself. There was actually a man, his name was Rabbi Yitzchak. He asked him, how did you become such a righteous person? You know what he said? He said, I'll tell you. When you eat an apple, do you make a bracha? He says, yes. When I want to eat an apple, I make a bracha. He said, I do the opposite. When I want to make a bracha, I eat an apple. Do you see the difference?
It's deep.
It is very deep. If I want to eat an apple, I want to have a benefit. Okay, I'm going to thank God too. But my point is my own benefit. I want to eat an apple, I'm hungry. But I know God created it, so I thank God too. He looked at the opposite. I want to praise God. The only way that I could praise him is if I'm going to find an apple and eat it. So his point of view was God, not himself. That's how they became righteous. It's like a parent that his own entire mind is just a child. Or like a child that his entire world is how could he do service for his parents. It's very difficult for us to get there. But I think we understand more when a parent does everything, sacrifices anything for the child. Right? If he has to sell the car, take a loan, God forbid the child is sick. They sacrifice anything to heal the child. So these are the righteous people. They do anything to please God because they're very conscious of God. That's how they became tzaddikim. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
To a certain extent, but again, God is going to ask me, how come I'm not David? Or you should become David. You should become Joshua Melamed. I forgot your first name. Nojan. Shurf. How come Nojan? Why weren't you Nojan? That's what God's going to ask you. I was going to say, I'm so proud of you that you were Nojan. And that's what God is going to say. So remember, guys, charity is very, very important. Now we're going to go to the next part. Is that Hashem, if you have any questions, please ask me. I hope it wasn't boring. Any questions? No questions? Let's go to the next part. You see the next part that you have actually thank God that today's technology actually makes us realize and be very conscious of our spirituality. There was a certain woman, she actually had an article. Her name is Katya Wallerton. She's a very, very intellectual woman. You could actually go find her, Google her in Chabad.org. She writes articles for Chabad.org every week almost. So she said she was going through the airport. She's a speaker all over the world. And when she went through the metal detector, whatever you call it, security, so then something made noise. So they took her to the corner, whatever, they checked her, and they found that it was nothing major. But you see, actually, there's securities. When you walk into a certain place, there's securities that check you out. I don't think you guys are old enough. One time in, what is this high school, on Lindy or Cedar? No, the one that has magnet school. No, it's right here. No.
Palisades?
No, you take Lindley, you go down. Reseda High, exactly. Reseda High. Reseda High, there was one time that an African American, guys, please pay attention. An African American took a gun and shot the student in broad daylight. It was a black guy that did it, an African American, years ago. So that's when they started putting metal detectors in some of the high schools. After that, it was crazy. The guy just walked in, daylight, boom, he shot a guy in the head.
Oh.
Some African American, I don't know.
But who did they shoot?
It was another student.
Another black guy?
I have no idea. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Human being is a human being. But anyways, so what happens is we have these things, the metal detectors that actually do security. They watch you have nothing wrong. But you see, in this world, they only care about your physical safety. And thank God to that we have this. You could actually use it as a lesson. There are certain things that you can't allow to come into an airport. Right? You go there. If you have a bottle of water, you can't come in. Right? If you have, I don't know, You want to take a toothpaste, it has to be very small. If it's big, you got to throw it out. There was one time we had hummus, there was like a little bit liquidy. So either we have to eat it by the airport or just throw it out. I'm not going to stand by the line over the hummus, So we just gave it, say you eat it yourself, Again, there are security things that actually protect your physical life. This teaches us there are certain things that can't enter our soul. Now, where are the gates? You see, when you want to enter a gate, you have a security guard, like the gate of the airport. Where are our gates? Our gates are what connects us to the outside world. One of our gates are our eyes, what we see on the outside world. That's one gate that connects us to the outside world. What are the other gates that we have? The 2 ears. Our ears are also a gate. I hear from outside. Another gate that we have, so we have eyes and the ears, our mouth. How I communicate to somebody else. Do we really put a security guard? What enters my eyes? What enters my ears? What comes out of my mouth? So that's why technology actually makes us very aware and conscious of spirituality too. Come on, you have security by gates. What are you talking about? These days we see it. You go to airport, you want to walk in, there's security. You go to high school, some of them have metal detectors. So this teaches us, just like the physical life is so important, to have protectors, you have protection, your soul is very important. When your eyes look at good things, or you look at things positively, your eyes get elevated. When I see you, I see such a wonderful human being. Seriously, I'm not judgmental. Oh, guy looks ugly, he's cheap, he's this. When I look with negativity, I bring my eyes down from its level. When I look with positive, look at somebody else. Look, this is God's creation. This is actually a godly soul within a physical body. Right? Or actually, I look at good things. I don't look at things that lowers my soul. I don't look at things that Torah prohibits. Or I don't speak a talk that Torah prohibits. I don't go say, trash about other people. Or I don't use foul language. I told you when I went the first time to Taft in 2004, 2 things shocked me. I came from yeshiva. First thing, every 4 words, F, 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 F. So now we put a new word, fabulous, fantastic. No, not that F word. The other thing, how are you, dog? I didn't see any dogs around, I see people walking, but say, how are you, dog? How are you, fool? If you're a fool, you don't belong in school. You must be a smart guy that you go to school. I was really shocked. So what kind of language is this? But again, your tongue should say good words. I think I told you last time. The SH word is Shabbat Shalom. The B word is blessing, beautiful. No BI something else. No, none of these bad words. So again, my gate to outside is my mouth. And if I use good words, I elevate it. I don't want to hear accusation of another person. I want to hear good about another person. When I hear good about another person, I elevate my ears. So this is actually what the Torah says in this week. It says, Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. You have to put judges and policemen at the gates of your city. Usually the court was at the gate of the city. So every city has to have their own court. I'm talking about the Jewish court. So you have to have judges that actually give the verdict if this guy is guilty or not. But sometimes the guy says, I don't care, I'm guilty, I owe you money, I'm not going to pay you. So they had policemen, which are the shotrim, they would actually go and make sure that the guy executes and does what the court told him. Now, we have to be the judges for our eyes, for our mouth, for our ears, and I have to be the policeman too. So my judgment is, hey, it's not good to look negatively at that guy. But I have to make the policeman that actually enforce that. It's not good to speak Lashon Hara, but I really have a desire to. That's what a policeman, my police in me. By the way, my glasses, it's police. You see that?
No.
It says the brand is police.
Oh.
So my wife asked me, why do you buy police? Because I have to police my eyes.
Oh.
I really didn't choose it because it's police, but it's a message from God. I got to police my eyes. You can't look at everything that you want.
Yeah, but you can't not hear what other people are saying.
Well, sometimes you hear you have to correct them or encourage them.
Yeah, but it's not your business.
But sometimes it is.
So you're saying we should be nosy and listen to it?
No. I'm not saying you should be nosy. If it happens that you hear something and you can help them, help them. Imagine somebody saying trash about somebody else, right? Yeah, of course, I'm going to say, no bad words. But I mean, you could say, you know what? I don't think it's beneficial, not for you, not for him, to say these bad things. You know what I'm saying? And if you know they don't listen to you, just don't bother. Sometimes you actually could become very effective. So this is what I want to tell you. This week's Parshat says, Shoftim v'shotrim. You have to have judges and policemen at your gates. So again, the gates are the eyes, the ears, the mouth. And we are the policemen and the judges to actually watch them out. So far clear?
Yeah.
Seriously, that's how you elevate your eyes, your ears. And this is what prepares us for Rosh Hashanah. It's going to be actually a wonderful year. I'm sure God is going to give us a good year. And you know, when Rosh Hashanah comes, people, imagine, I'm going to finish with this because, you know, next week, I will be here with Hashem next Monday. But then the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Russia. I'm coming Monday morning. Is it Monday night? Okay, I might not be, so I'm going to find out. I'll let you guys know. But if I'm not here, I'm not going to be for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be in Russia, actually. So I got to do some mission, you know, for Chabad. So I'm going to be there. It's not political, but it's educational. I'm not going there to speak to Putin, I promise you. Nothing to do with Putin, even though he loves Jews. But nothing to do with him. At any rate, when Rosh Hashanah will come, guys, it's a really a serious court case. God decides who's going to live, who's not going to live, and I'm sure He's going to give us 120 years of good life. But imagine you go to a court case, and really it's a matter of death and life. What would you do? What? If you go to a court case and they're judging you for a matter of death or life, you want to get the best lawyer, no? Of course. You know who are your lawyers on Rosh Hashanah? Yeah. The prayers that you say, the tehillim that you read, the good deeds that you do. But start preparing the lawyers now, month of Elul. Every penny that you give to charity, any good thing that you do, these are your lawyers that we go in front of God and say, hey, this man did so many good things. He deserves a good year. And if he doesn't deserve a good year, he had mercy on others. So God be merciful to him. I'm very, very serious. Rosh Hashanah, guys, is not a joke. It's not a time that we stay up at night, we drink and say l'chaim. Next day at 10 o'clock, you just go hear the shofar, and that's it. I did my obligation. Every word of prayer, these are your lawyers that protect you in front of God. So let's utilize it as from this Thursday, from tonight, but especially from this Thursday. Give extra charity, help another fellow human being. Rosh Hashanah, please pray very hard. Oh, by the way, it's very important. One of the customs that we have in Hebrew, from the month of Elul, or at least some people started 40 days before Rosh Hashanah, which is from a few days ago. Whenever you see somebody, you say, Shana Tova, you should have a good year. When you wish somebody else to have a good year, that means you really mean it. I really want you to have a good year. So God says, He wished the other guy a good year. I'm going to wish him a good year too. That's part of the kind deeds that we do to each other. I'm telling you, your words matter. You want to get married one day, right?
What?
You want to get married one day, right?
Sure.
Imagine I'm going to say some trash. You know, I know it's not true. I'm not going to say your name. This guy used to take pot in public school now. Oh, I could ruin your marriage.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly. So you see, words are powerful. If in negativity words are so powerful, could you imagine when you say beautiful things, you pray, how much power they have? So when I say you should have a good year, and I really mean it, my words are powerful. Your words are powerful. And then God gives you a good year. Okay, guys, I spoke too much. Just a couple announcements, people. You know, we have one of our wonderful guys that actually started making this class big and bigger, which is Mr. Josh Melamed. He's being elevated to USC. And we're not going to see him that often. We're going to miss him. But please, guys, he's going to advertise about the class. He's going to try to make it as much as he can. The ones that are not in USC or UCLA yet and you live at home, he's not going to live at home. He's going to be at the college campus. So please make sure that you bring more kids. We should keep the crowd. And the other thing is, special thanks to, we have a group of, people, special thanks to Chantel. And we got Josh and a couple of other guys. We're going to have a Shabbaton which doesn't cost anything. It's already paid for. Somebody donated $3,500. It's going to be on the 8th and 9th of September. I think it's for ages of 18 to 26, not older than that. Please, guys, we're going to send you the flyers. Anybody that wants to be part of the board, please let us know. We made a special Shabbaton board. And basically, the job is to come and please advertise as much as you can. And Chantal is going to make actually a Google, whatever, registration, so we know how many people are coming. You're gonna have sushi platters at night. Not actually going coming making actual sushi. You're gonna have a lot of gundi. We're gonna make steaks for during the day. What else do you guys want? Bastani, falude, cakes, whatever you want. All we're asking you, please advertise and please show up. It's going to be Friday night and Shabbat by day. We try to get at least 100 people if we can, or close to it. Please, guys, dedicate yourself and please come. Let's go to the other side. Awesome.
We also have a surprise as well coming, right? A surprise.
What's the surprise?
Mexican,
And then if I say it, it wouldn't be a surprise.
Mexican fruit.
Oh, yeah. That.
Exactly. It's not a surprise.
You're going to have a surprise.
It's not Hashem. Thank you, Rabbi.
At the Shabbaton, you have a surprise.
Where are we going? Everything else.
The other time.
It's the type of food that you need to see.